Cool. So please bear with me. I haven't really run a meeting of this caliber before. I run like a couple different things with the Poverello and the coordinated outreach team. So I'll do my best. Is everyone all right if I keep my video off as well? My partner's cooking dinner and I'm sitting here in the kitchen and don't necessarily know if she wants to be live on YouTube. So, thank you everyone for showing up for this month's Affordable Housing Resident Oversight Committee. My name is Riley Jacobson, and I will be your facilitator for this evening. And I suppose the thing to do now would be to share the screen. Let's see how this works out. Okay. Emily, are we good to go, or do we want to wait a little bit longer?
Aubrey, what do you think?
I think we're good to go. We had a few cancellations, but it looks like most everyone otherwise.
And we're broadcast, so I think we're good.
Did we lose Riley?
Yep. Yeah, we did. Do you want
Okay.
to start?
Yeah, I can get us started for now. No worries. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Sorry about this little technical delay. We had a few things pop up like right before we started. But for now, I'll start until Riley gets on. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
We see your mailbox, if that's what
Yeah.
you're wanting us to see, Aubrey.
That is not what I was wanting you to see.
Aubrey, if you want, since your screen sharing is working and I'm having some weird difficulties with this laptop here, do you just want to lead the meeting today?
Yep, I can do that.
Thank you.
Can you guys see my presentation now?
No, we can still see
No.
your mailbox. Oh, there it is.
Now we can.
Awesome. Okay, sorry about that. Awesome. So Affordable Housing Resident Oversight Committee. We're here. We did it. Thanks everyone for being here. We will do attendance first. So Soraya, if you're ready for that, I can call out some names.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so first we have Christine.
Hi, I'm Christine Littig. My pronouns are she, her. I am an appointed member from the County Commissioners. I apologize that my screen is also dark this evening. I normally share my views, so thanks for your patience. I haven't been feeling so well today, but I was looking forward to the presentation this evening, so I am here and present.
Thanks, Christine. Next is Heidi.
Hi, I'm Heidi West. I'm the City Council representative, and I'm also going to leave my screen off today. I broke my ankle a I guess it's been a couple weeks ago now, and it's been the most challenging day yet. So, but I didn't want to miss the presentation today about the Scott Street development, and I'm really excited about this agenda. So, but apologies for not being here with my face. Thank you.
Awesome. Next is John.
Hi, I'm John Ingen, Mayor of the City of Missoula. My pronouns are he and his. Greetings, everyone.
Next is Katie. Okay, and then after that is Lori Davidson. Okay, and then after that is Paul. All right, after that is Riley.
Hello, my name is Riley Jacobson, he, his pronouns, and I am appointed by the mayor, represent the housing nonprofit sector.
Thanks, Riley. Next is Will.
Hi, Will Seaburn, community member, he, him pronouns. Call me Will.
Thanks, Will. Next is Nick.
Evening, everyone. Nick Chaussee. I believe my role on this committee is a community member. He, him, his pronouns. Sorry to see everyone and see what we got going tonight. So.
All right, it looks like we got Lori there.
Yes, hi, Lori Davidson. She, her pronouns, Executive Director of the Missoula Housing Authority.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. So just a few norms. We go over these, every time, but just a reminder, respect for different perspectives, be and stay present, spell out acronyms, step up, step back, give everyone a chance to talk. Same things as usual. Then if you want to register to join the webinar, the link is right here. This is where the agenda and related documents are. And then raise your hand for public comment. If you're dialing in, you can press *9 to raise your hand and then *9 to lower your hand. And then there's also a voicemail if you want to do a public comment alternative. All right, so it looks like first we're going to be approving the minutes from last month. Hope everyone got a chance to look at those. Does anyone have any comment?
I would move approval.
Great. Does anyone second that?
I'll second.
Cool. All right, and the ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Hi.
Okay, and the nays? All right, the minutes for January 2022 are approved. Next, we have a presentation. This presentation is coming from Don McKee at Good Works for the Scott Street development. Don, I think you should have the capability to screen share if you're ready.
Hopefully Kai does because he has the slides.
Okay, even better.
Kai, are you? Oh, okay, great. Super. So thank you for the opportunity to come talk with you tonight. And we have put together a brief presentation, but more here to engage in a sort of conversational chat about where we are on this particular project. The mayor might recall we started off almost a year and a half ago now when we were approached by an out-of-state family office that had read about one of our companies here in Missoula, Luminad, in the New York Times. And they had some money they wanted to deploy into opportunity zone places. And after reading the ad about Luminad, they thought Missoula might be a good place to do it. And they contacted us and said, would you all consider partnering on this? And that sort of got us started in what I like to call a direction that was not even in my strategic plan for that particular year, meaning we had never tried to do housing before. We'd funded some small housing projects, mostly acting as bridge financiers around the community to secure and hold land until other agencies like NeighborWorks or Homeward or someone else could take them and deliver the final product. But when we were approached to do this, we got curious and we started putting together and working with this development team of the city and various other people to say what's possible for this particular site that the city owns, and what could we create here, particularly in light of the housing crisis that's affecting all of our community members, our neighbors, our families, and other people who just want to be in our community and are priced out right now. So we came up with the word Rivara, basically because it was available. It's pretty hard to find a clean name these days in the universe to use, but also because we really like the nod that it gave to taking some raw materials, this undeveloped parcel of land, and putting something new that might be a good use. Kai, can you switch to the next one? So this is what it used to be like. It wasn't always undeveloped. It used to have a pretty intense industrial usage over there on the north side on Scott Street. And we went through early on in this project and tried to pull as many historical site usage photos as we could get. This is the best, clearest image we have of what once was there. Kai, will you advance us? This is just a nod to like what it takes to create a project of this sort. And I'm sure this list will continue to grow. And I'm sure I probably forgot somebody in my haste to put this together. But we started off with identifying some people who are interested in financing the project, working with the city to try to determine what the city wanted to see happen on this particular site, working with the North Side community and the West Side community and anybody else who cared about what they wanted to see happen on the site. And so these are just some of the stakeholders. So this is a triangle I made up because it's something I've been trying to convey to everybody since we began this, what I call development whack-a-mole game. And what's really important to the community, I think, is having a nice place to go that is made out of materials that are not all shiny bright metal is what we heard, but that would have durability and that would be cost effective and that would be pretty and that would be durable and cost effective. And this triangle just sort of keeps going round and round. And any one of these, if you try to make it too beautiful, it gets very cost ineffective and it might not be durable. And any one of these can really sort of offset the balance. So we're trying to find the balance of, in the most expensive time to ever build anything in the city of Missoula, to get it right. So where do we start? We work with the North Side, West Side crew, and they were super fantastic and helping engage communities. And we were able to, in a very limited window in 21, have an in-person meeting where more than 60 people showed up to the Burn Street Bistro to really sort of make manifest what their hopes and dreams for the neighborhood was. And it was a very well-attended open house. We were hoping to follow it up with presenting our findings back to the community. But by that time, COVID was back and we didn't feel safe doing an in-person meeting. So we did a Zoom meeting to present back out. I wish I could say it was as well attended, but since I spent all day staring at a screen, I understand why it wasn't. But we really took the comments that we heard, worked with our architects, worked with our development partners, and tried to bring a product back that would embody what the neighborhood wanted. I'm not going to go through all of the survey results or on this slide or the next slide. You guys have the slides so you can read them for yourself. And also the Engage Missoula site is still live and I think it's continually being updated. Kai, you want to flip to the next one and then the next one. So these are just basically what the larger the letter, the more we heard. And this is the part that we're talking about. The community land trust is on 3 acres. The city wanted us to do 70 affordable units, affordable meaning 100 to 120% of AMI at the time of sale. And we've exceeded that slightly just by way of we've put it together. The market rate in commercial, we heard a lot from the neighborhood that one, our LOI with the city says we will provide daycare, which was important to us. But we heard a lot about wanting to have a neighborhood grocery store, a place to gather, a place to grab coffee, a place to meet friends, especially since the brewery went out of business on the north side. There's really no place to gather as a collective without having to cross the tracks. So we wanted to try to address that and provide some rental rate, market rate rental apartments. So this is the design that our architects, Christian Carroll, came up with to sort of take all of those aspects of things and put them into the hopper. One of the things that we heard over and over again was, please try to make it so that it's accessible to the neighborhood and that there's walking space and place to, it was an open field before. So you take an open field away from people and they get kind of disappointed. So we tried to put as much open space back into the project, notwithstanding the density, as we could. And one of the things we've managed to figure out is how to park underground and to do a shared parking agreement with the city so that all those apartments, that central square doesn't have to be a sea of basically blacktop, because otherwise it would have to be. Because the need for parking, we believe, is really pretty critical right now, but we believe that over time, the next 15 to 20 years, maybe even sooner, that the days of every single family owning a car or unit that they'll have to park overnight at their place are probably diminishing, with self-driving vehicles and the ability to deliver you to where you want to go without you having to have the attendant bother of fixing and maintaining a car. So we also didn't want to build a giant parking lot that we would then have to rip up at some point. So this is the design, and I think I've got some more to say, but I'll just stop right here and see, as you're looking at the slide, are there any comments, any questions that I could answer so far? Okay, I'm seeing nodding heads. All right, let's keep going, Kai. So trying to get the look feel of the site right. This is not a construction drawing. This is not exactly what the building will turn out to be like, but this is the elements of design that we really try to take from the old White Pine Sash site, and with some of the clear story features that those old buildings had, and sort of the nod to sort of squaring off and rounding so that they look old, but yet new and appropriate for place. And that is the view looking from the central square from one of the apartment buildings, looking back towards the townhomes. So lots of things we're trying to put together there. Lots of things we're trying to solve for: parking, circulation, impact on neighborhood, parklets, making sure that triangle I pointed out earlier is reflected, access for people from the neighborhood to walk through, and places to hang out. So the Community Land Trust, I have spent all day, actually all week, trying to get the first draft of our the ground lease with the Community Land Trust in a way that is comprehensible. And I just have to say, we read the national standards of the Community Land Trust, and we've been working with forms that our local land trusts have been using. And boy, is it complicated, because there's so many things that go into this, not the least of which is we have both condos and townhomes on the Community Land Trust land, that the homeowners will own the asset in the case of the townhome, the home itself, and enter a ground lease with the Community Land Trust. In the case of a condo, they will be part of a condo association that actually owns just really the inside of your walls, plus the Community Land Trust and condo association. And then there's the homeowners association that's got to govern how neighbors decide to make decisions when you have that many houses packed in. So it's pretty complicated, but we're trying to make it as plain English and comprehensible to people who want to purchase as possible. The price point per agreement with the city is that all the units will be between 100 and 120% of AMI at the time of sale. Where that puts us right now, I think I'll let Kai jump in here and talk a little bit about that, because he's been taking a look at some of the things that have been coming up for sale lately, and that was pretty well versed on how this is going to play out in connection to having 70 units come for sale on the north side.
So what we're looking at right now, as it relates to some of the condos, we're looking at studios and one bedrooms in there, up to two bedrooms inside the condo portion. We're looking at starting those in the 250, 260 range. Construction prices will vary a little bit, and the AMI will adjust as well as we roll into next year. All of these will be sold in 2023 and potentially 2024, depending on construction schedules. And, really looking at the 3-story, 4-bedroom townhomes, we'll be looking at the $415,000, $420,000 range based on the current numbers. Those may adjust a little bit given where things go in the cost of construction and as well as AMI availability. And with that, we're trying to really address a large range of affordability in housing. And some folks are really looking for, where do they house their family? And other folks are looking for a studio or 1 bedroom and trying to create a inclusive development that is both inclusive of age ranges and, family status and what's going on in their life to create some vibrance and continue to embrace what the North Side is seeing in the folks who are occupying the homes there currently.
Other things that the community land trust agreements will have, there will be owner occupied. No Airbnbs are going to be permitted. So this will really truly be residents of the North Side living on the North Side. So sustainability is up for us in a big way. We're trying to figure out a way, again, balancing that cost effective and durability part with how do we make this development as sustainable as possible going forward. We've certainly done that by including as much green space as we can within the project. We're looking at trying to do an entire energy project I'll let Kai talk more about. We are working with Climate Smart Missoula and others to try to make sure that we can get more transportation to the site, that we can have it be as bike and effective as possible, that we're not likely to be able to afford to install solar on each of the units, but we're going to certainly build it out. So if owners want to do a later addition of solar onto their property, that they can undertake that for themselves. Kai, you want to talk about the underground stuff?
So as this project is clearly a public-private partnership in the creation of housing, in conjunction with that, we're looking at a public-private partnership on how the probability of creating a district geothermal system. And so this is still in preliminary review. There's substantial modeling that has to be done around the water table that exists underneath there and making sure that there's no pollutants that move around and that everything is meeting DEQ standards. And so this is not something that is going to happen as of today. It's under evaluation. We're working with the EPA and the National Renewable Energy Labs to do some of that initial work, as well as all the folks over at Public Works and the city team there that's been on this project. And so it's an exciting concept that we think might work for this, but there's a lot of boxes that have to be checked between now and when it's it hits feasibility. And as in all things, there is a challenge on managing the time that it takes, where we know that this is something that can work, that we can bank on and send the engineers to work, or maybe we don't get to feasibility by then and we have to look at other routes to engage in sustainability. A lot of additional focus on sustainability is going to be really around the building envelope and making sure that, we are creating, efficient homes to operate. Looking at the heat pumps, mini split units are common now in a lot of different apartments and homes, and it's an efficient way to heat and cool. And so that'll be a part of it, and reducing the usage of resistance heating, the baseboard heats that we've all seen in different places that are pretty old, and those aren't efficient. They heat, but they're not efficient. And so looking at what can we use across the board for that?
Yeah, it would be ideal if there was more funds. There's some pending public legislation that would be great if it passed, because there might be money to put more sustainable into projects that are as large as these. But we're going to turn over all the stones and find what we can do to try to create a really good project here. Wow, the slides are doing strange things.
There we go. All right. Technical glitch.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, we didn't get to the development whack-a-mole slide. My favorite game. So what I would say is post the reporting back out to where we came up with the original design. We kind of hit a couple of hurdles this fall, largely related to an undeeded to the city alley that was we needed to work through with some neighbors to make sure that we could use it for parking some of the townhomes, which I believe we've gotten to an agreement in theory, and where we will get to the agreement in writing in the near term. So that's kind of suspended our next steps, but not set us too far back. So right now where we are is we're working with the city to have the parcels for conveyance created by dedication of right-of-ways. We are trying to identify and close the funding with our development partners to do both the multifamily, the sort of community center part, and to build out the community land trust. We have identified design and architects and landscape design firms, and we are having conversations and getting ready to roll with what the actual as-built will look like. We're doing engineering with WGM Group and the city, which MRA has graciously afforded some funds to get that work completed. We are in weekly meetings with the city trying to figure out where everybody's going to park their cars together. We are going to apply for an NC overlay to address the remaining parking needs. The big discrepancy here is that on the community land trust portion, we don't necessarily meet all the outdoor space requirements that we need. We're trying to have the parcel looked at as a whole so we can use part of that large central green space to create the outdoor usage that everybody needs to have. Otherwise, we'll probably have to start pulling units out. So we're working through that. Then, of course, there's everybody's favorite game, which is going to permitting and dealing with those things that may come back and forth. But we're shooting for trying to get foundations in the fall and anticipating doing a build out. We have located builder to do this project for us. The built environment in terms of drywall and being able to order a dishwasher and those sorts of things are seemingly settling down. And I see that the mayor has his hand raised, so I will let you jump in there, John.
And Don, I don't want to interrupt you. Happy to ask my question when you're finished with your presentation.
No, we're good. Go ahead.
But I think for the benefit of the team gathered here, a bit of a discussion of what the advantages of the community land trust are in terms of perpetual affordability.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm sure as you guys have heard just how kind of outrageous the situation is right now. We know of a building that just went under contract, or a house that went under contract this week that had probably 20 offers, multiple offers exceeding asking price. And that, from there, the average cost of a home increased more than 21% in Missoula last year. Well, I don't expect that to continue. I certainly expect there to continue to be escalation in price because, let's face it, we live in a bowl and there's only so many places you can put single family homes. And so the way it works with the community land trust is that there needs to be an income qualified buyer to buy the property, that are certain limitations on resale. And we haven't worked out entirely what those limitations are going to be because there's an inherent tension between resale for the person who buys it in the first instance and resale over time. Our commitment is to continue to keep these units as priced as affordably as they can. The person who buys it right now, let's just say they bought one of the townhomes that was on the more expensive side and they bought it for, say, $350,000. There definitely should be a cap on how much per year that price can appreciate. If you put them in the hole, meaning you cap it, let's just say at a 2% price increase, and land price and home costs continue to go up by 20% on average a year, you've basically made it so that that family can never move out of the community land trust house and ever move into anything affordable if prices are increasing at 20% a year. So, the lease that goes with the purchase of this property is a 99-year ground lease, and it has some escalations in terms of just fees and costs associated with that. And so we're going to be working with the city, the community land trust, and others to try to figure out where in that teeter-totter of tension is the fair point to bookmark for price appreciation, meaning not entirely penalizing someone for putting their hard-earned money into a community land trust that then they can't stay, even at the rate of inflation with, but also not giving them a wild upside and a speculation that would then preclude this from being affordable housing in the future. So negotiating that.
Thank you. Yeah, the limited equity model, and we have other examples of land trusts on the ground in Missoula. Certainly, they're deployed widely around the United States. And as Don says, you have to find that sweet spot, right? Or where we are not disincentivizing people from participating in the limited equity model. They get something out of it, but they're not recognizing those huge gains. Also, while I have the microphone, want to just again sing the praises of Rivara and the team who are taking this on as a mission as much as anything else. And it's there are many complex moving parts, and I know that our teams are meeting very regularly and sorting through these many complexities. But having a partner like Rivara convinces me that we'll get a project on the ground, and we'll get it on the ground, and it'll be meaningful for the community and a place where people actually want to live. So thank you.
Thank you, John, for your vote of confidence. Yeah, we are doing this because we really believe we're trying to solve a great problem, and we really, really want to bring a beautiful space to bear here. So I think that is the end of our presentation. Basically, roadmap next steps showing you a lot of things. What I can say is, if it's not one thing, it's another on a daily basis. And, the devil is in the details on all of this. And there's a lot of devils because there's a lot of details. Again, I expect the next month of my life to be like deep in the weeds of homeowners association agreements and community land trust agreements. It's very complex, and it's also one of those things you're trying to do for a really long time into the future, and having no understanding exactly of how the future is going to be in 5, much less 10, 15, 50 years, and getting it right is really challenging. So I see some hands up. Paul, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for taking the time to present to this committee. To be honest with you, I don't have a question. The presentation answered all of them that came up in my head, and I just wanted to say that it's an exciting project and really happy to see it happening. So thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much. How about you, Will?
Thank you. Yeah, super exciting project. I love the mixed income component of it as well. I think that's a really important thing to consider with this type of housing development. I was curious, I'm looking in the slide deck. So looks like roughly all in like 325 units between the kind of market rate units and the CLT units. Do I have that about right?
Kai, you want to get that one? I think that's
326 right now.
326. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll be exact. I'm just curious, how does that compare to how many units are allowed based on zoning?
It's 40 per acre.
And it's 9 acres.
And it's 9 acres, so 360. So just about like the 30. There's a difference of 30, basically, right? If I got that right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
ballpark math. Yeah.
Cool. And then my second question was just, what are your funding sources that you do have currently that are supporting this? Sorry if I might have missed it on one of the slides you went through earlier.
Kai, you want that one?
Yeah, sure. As it relates to the CLT, we've been working closely with the city in really figuring out how do we create what is short-term basically construction loan capital, because these homes are really basically going to be sold at cost. And so we're not looking for substantial grant funding through this process. It's not one of those types of projects. It's how are we making up a 24, 30 month, the capital need grows and then it can roll through the project as we phase it. And so it's right now on the CLT side, we're strategically working with the city on that. Some of the things that we've identified as potential options are creating a low yield, like a 3% type note, and talk to some of the foundations to see if they'd be willing to provide some sort of a MRI, PRI type investment in this. Seeing what resources the city might have that can be deployed at this, that's then returned at the final sale of the homes as we phase through it. And so that's on the CLT side. It's creative financing at its finest, but there's support and appetite to create this. And so we're figuring out how that package comes together with the long term, with the potential as well.
Can I pause you 1 second there, Kai? In addition to the foundations, we're actually looking at doing a direct to the public offering to basically provide a 18-month, 24-month note to anybody who wants to participate to fund this project to get it built, that would be paid out of the proceeds of sale. So the CLT, we don't have the advantage of having investors who are trying to, because there's not a lot of upside here, trying to invest in a real estate project. So we're trying to be very creative about where we get funds from that will just basically short-term, meaning 0 to 36 months, and to be able to roll over, get the build out completed on the CLT side, and then return the funds to those investors, whether it's the city, whether it's foundations, whether it's private individuals. We're just, if anybody has any ideas, please let us know, because we're all about trying to get it lined out.
Just one last follow-up question on that. So it sounds like kind of the phased approach, the idea is essentially get a line of credit that's going to finance the development of these. And then as you sell them, you use whatever. I mean, it sounds like maybe there won't be a ton of proceeds and you got to pay off that loan, but it's kind of like you're using what you gain from selling the first phase to then finance the construction of the second phase.
Yeah, exactly. It's a 2-phase project is essentially how we're looking at it. We don't want this thing to stretch out into 4 or 5 years, right? We're really trying to get this project done in a timely fashion so that we can get, families and people, just people in homes living where they want to live, and as opposed to renting. And so establishing that community. And so the capital stack as it stands right now, and really what we're targeting is, we have a $500,000 soft cost to handle architecture and engineering and the things that come along with getting to permit. And then it's a $2 million gap that we're filling in for to address the construction equity. Essentially, we will use the land as a construction equity as well on top of that, which comes out for $233,000. So it's really $2.2 million we'd use in construction equity that would roll through the 2 phases. Looks like we got some hands. Emily, do you want to jump in?
Paul, you can go first.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Because it's related. As the representative of the financial industry, I'm obligated to ask what the trouble is with conventional construction financing in this case. Is it just the cost, or is there some other problem?
So we've been talking to First Security Bank as the traditional conventional lender on it, but you still need your construction equity. So in total, we're looking at about $25 million in construction costs. So you still need your construction equity through the process. So.
Gotcha. Thanks.
And money up front to pay architects. And Kai just disappeared. Oh, no, there you are. You moved around my screen.
No. Emily, do you want to?
Yeah, thanks very much. It's good to see you both. I just wanted to remind and offer that the Affordable Housing Trust Fund does support energy efficiencies in builds. And it's one of our alignments to our other city plans. So, my dog is barking. He likes it too. But just want to remind that is a eligible cost.
So a question on just the mechanics of that. I mean, is that something where it's true grant funding and we could just look at reducing the construction costs that would be passed through to the home buyer at that point? Okay.
Yep. It could be a grant or a loan.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep, and we can talk more about it, Kai, but for the benefit of the committee, I wanted to mention it too.
That's good to know as well. We're definitely not opposed to taking grants in this process, but also we don't want to be dependent on that for the success. And so if we can drive this without grants, great. And if we can bring grants in to hit some of these other metrics and targets to increase, whether it's affordability beyond what we're already targeting or sustainability, it's fantastic.
So Kai, you want to talk about the financing of the multifamily?
Yeah, sure. So the multifamily side, it's more of a traditional real estate project. It is going to be an opportunity zone development. So it's a minimum 10-year hold period. And so we've identified through our interurban, our market rate development partners, they have relationships with different opportunity zone investment funds that they're working with in other projects that they have operating. And so that's your more traditional capital stack and process over there. Will, looks like you got it.
Yeah, Don, I had a follow-up question just to hear a little bit more about this idea of like the community lending component. Like community lending it sounds like what you were describing is like community members could chip in and there'd be some return on investment that they could get by doing that. Or can you just say a little bit more about what your ideas are there?
Kai, do you want to talk about the online process?
Yeah, and the name's going to slip me right now. With the rise of crowdfunding, the Reg CF that came out, there's substantial opportunity to utilize platforms that exist out there for real estate development. And while most of the projects on those sites focus more of a market rate return, and we would take this as an approach and use the platform to create efficiencies in terms of management of small investments so that we don't have a large paperwork process that we have to deal with. And so it'd be using the Reg CF laws that are out there and just having essentially a low return threshold on it that's committed to the investors in that sense. And so it's leveraging existing crowdfunding laws.
And what I don't know is whether those online platforms are going to be economically feasible, because they kind of charge a pretty premium, but they also do a lot of the upfront work for you and make it easy. So the trade-off between easy and fees, we haven't really totally dived into. But the thing is that I like about it is, notwithstanding the fact that like we're having, inflation, you still can't walk down to any local bank and get 3% on your money for the next 18 months. And I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of the community that wouldn't mind a 3% return for a 2 or 3 year product. And that would be really like, it would be a way of them being able to participate in the creation of a thing that they want to see happen in their community. And I like the idea of trying to do it, just because I don't think this is going to be the first or last time that we're going to do a community land trust project of this size, not us or someone like us in our community. So if we can kind of beta test all of the models, as it were, like here's how you do it, and here's your instruction book, and here's how you can get community funding to support it. I do know there was some community investment. I'm not privy to any of the details about the project that was created for the over 50 plus homes that are being created over, I think, on 4th Street or 5th Street. I think there was community investment dollars that made that project happen. So I think that there's probably an appetite within our community to do such a thing. And the question is, does it pencil? Is it feasible? Is it too much of a headache to not make it worth it? Where are we? And those are all things that we're in the process of working through right now.
The platform that we've just preliminarily looked at was smallchange.co was one of them. There's a lot of them out there that provide those services.
Christine, I see your hand.
Hi, Dawn. Nice to hear your voice. Nice to see you. Hi, Kai. Thank you for the presentation. And I think I put my hand up prior to you finishing your sentence, Dawn, but I'm wondering, as you're spinning out some of these ideas and the beta testing, especially of crowdfunding, do you imagine a minimum investment amount from the community? Have you guys explored what that looks like?
If we do it on an online platform, I think they can handle any kind of minimums just because they have a system. If it's us that has to do it in connection with a partnership with one of the local credit unions, I think it will make our heads explode if we go too low of a dollar amount. So that threshold will be to be determined.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any more questions? Awesome. Thank you, Don and Kai. We really appreciate you being here.
Thanks. We appreciate all that you do for our community, and thank you for the opportunity to come talk about our project. We're super jazzed. If you have any questions that occur to you, or you have any ideas about anything we should also be brainstorming, please don't hesitate to reach out. Kai's and my email was both on the last part of the slide, and we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to show you around once we're done.
Thanks so much to your organization for leaning in this way, Don, Kai, everyone at Good Works. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
All right, so it doesn't look like we have any financial reports tonight. Also, no action items. So next is committee member comments. Are there any committee member comments tonight? Great, seeing none, we'll move on to staff comments. We have a few updates tonight. The first one is going to be on which presentations are next. Next month, we're going to have Lori Davidson at the Missoula Housing Authority. She'll present on low-income housing tax credits. And then for April, that is Fair Housing Month. We haven't decided yet who or what's going to be presented, but something around fair housing. And then in May, this isn't finalized yet either, but something around financing tools for housing. And then let me share my screen. So next is Unified Funding Round update. We had 12 applicants overall. 4 of those applicants were for new construction, 4 were consumer services, and 4 were preservation. Between all 3 funding sources, we have $2,464,200 available, and the ask overall was $3,009,905. The oversubscribed total ask was $545,705. All applications were reviewed and recommendations were made upon which funding sources fit which project specifically. And we replied to those guys and let them know which ones they were eligible for. And we invited all pre-applicants back to complete the funding round. And then this is just another update on our key dates. We're up to February 22nd. We're going to do the complete applications. And then March through May will be review and recommendation process. And then July 1st, all contracts will begin. Does anybody have any questions about that? Go ahead, Paul.
Thanks. Just wondering if those applications are public, what we can learn about who applied, or when we might learn about that stuff.
Emily, I'll let you answer that one.
Yeah, they will be public, Paul. I think we'll wait until we see who ultimately actually applies. Maybe not everyone will, but once the round is closed, then we can share those.
Thanks, Paul. Christine?
While we aren't sharing who necessarily has applied or is being awarded, I am curious if we had any organizations that came in for a second ask in this unified funding round.
I don't know if there's any rules on answering that, so I'm going to let you answer that one, Emily.
Yeah, we can answer that. We did. And we won't know anything until the applications are turned in, the final apps on the 22nd, whether they'll ultimately submit a full application.
Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you, Emily.
Sorry, that was a leftover.
Okay. All right, any other questions or comments? Perfect. And then this wasn't on the agenda, but I wanted to let everyone know Bobby Weston resigned for personal reasons. We're going to be sending out an online card to everyone through their emails to give a sign and give best wishes. To fill her position, Emily Schenkel was recommended by the council, and that will go to the consent agenda next week. Emily was chosen to keep the committee full in terms of variance, in terms of demographics. So Awesome. All right, looking ahead, we have our next meeting coming up, March 9th. Does anybody have anything they want to add? Go ahead, Emily.
Thanks. I just want to add and remind that we're currently doing listening sessions and community engagement around housing displacement experiences. We have one more listening session next Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. And those are on Zoom. They're not being recorded and they're not being broadcast on YouTube to respect people's privacy. And we are also going to do 2 listening sessions at the Poverello Center, one at the POV and one at Johnson Street in early March. And then the Engage Missoula page is up. And we encourage you to participate and share your information or share your experiences, and also share it with people in your community.
Go ahead, Christine.
Emily, thank you for bringing that up. I was not able to attend this week, but I have been wondering how participation was, what participation looked like, and am looking forward to the next listening session. But if you could give us a little bit more feedback.
Sure. There were 50 people at yesterday's session, which was really exciting. When we in the morning I checked, we had 25. I think that the Wake Up Montana story helped a little bit. I think we have 20 registered for Thursday, so we'll see how that changes too.
That's great. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I just wanted to thank everyone for being here tonight, and thank you for being patient with the technical issues in the Zoom world. So is there a motion to end the meeting?
Move we adjourn.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
All right, our meeting has been adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Aubrey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aubrey.
Thanks, Aubrey.